press is the foundation of democracy and justice.
Debating is mostly about perspectives. I suggest use your space, dominate the room.
Dominate.
Spending again. About 4,000. Justice system. Okay. But what is justice?
Freedom of the press is the foundation of democracy and justice.
Debating is mostly about perspectives. I suggest use your space, dominate the room.
Dominate.
Spending again. About 4,000. Justice system. Okay. But what is justice?
Freedom of the press is the foundation of democracy and justice.
Debating is mostly about perspectives. I suggest use your space, dominate the room.
Dominate.
Spending again. About 4,000. Justice system. Okay. But what is justice?
Freedom of the press is the foundation of democracy and justice.
Debating is mostly about perspectives. I suggest use your space, dominate the room.
Dominate.
Spending again. About 4,000. Justice system. Okay. But what is
Freedom of the press is the foundation of democracy and justice.
Debating is mostly about perspectives. I suggest use your space, dominate the room.
Dominate.
Spending again. About 4,000. Justice system. Okay. But
press is the foundation of democracy and justice.
Debating is mostly about perspectives. I suggest use your space, dominate the room.
Dominate.
Spending again. About 4,000. Justice system. Okay. But what is justice system? Let me start.
Freedom of the press is the foundation of democracy and justice.
Debating is mostly about perspectives. I suggest use your space, dominate the room.
Dominate.
Spending again. About 4,000. Justice system. Okay. But what is justice system? Let me start.
Freedom of the press is the foundation of democracy and justice.
Debating is mostly about perspectives. I suggest use your space, dominate the room.
Dominate.
Spending again. About 4,000. Justice system. Okay. But what is justice system? Let me start.
Freedom of the press is the foundation of democracy and justice.
Debating is mostly about perspectives. I suggest use your space, dominate the room.
Dominate.
Spending again. About 4,000. Justice system. Okay. But what is justice system? Let me start.
Freedom of the press is the foundation of democracy and justice.
Debating is mostly about perspectives. I suggest use your space, dominate the room.
Dominate.
Spending again. About 4,000. Justice system. Okay. But what
press is the foundation of democracy and justice.
Debating is mostly about perspectives. I suggest use your space, dominate the room.
Dominate.
Spending again. About 4,000. Justice system. Okay. But what is justice
Freedom of the press is the foundation of democracy and justice.
Debating is mostly about perspectives. I suggest use your space, dominate the room.
Dominate.
Spending again. About 4,000. Justice system. Okay. But what is justice?
Freedom of the press is the foundation of democracy and justice.
Debating is mostly about perspectives. I suggest use your space, dominate the room.
Dominate.
Spending again. About 4,000. Justice system. Okay. But what is justice?
Freedom of the press is the foundation of democracy and justice.
Debating is mostly about perspectives. I suggest use your space, dominate the room.
Dominate.
Spending again. About 4,000. Justice system. Okay. But what is
Freedom of the press is the foundation of democracy and justice.
Debating is mostly about perspectives. I suggest use your space, dominate the room.
Dominate.
Spending again. About 4,000. Justice system. Okay. But what
foundation of democracy and justice.
Debating is mostly about perspectives. I suggest use your space, dominate the room.
Dominate.
Don't have to think that this is spending again. Neighbors spend about 4,000. Justice system. Okay. But what is
a platform for exchange of potent ideas, an arcade to hold intense arguments. And now we are into the end game through thrilling levels of debate, and we are sure that today's session will leave you at the edge of your seats. To reach here, all of the participants fought through a grueling audition round, which was an impromptu session, followed by the semi-finals round, in which 24 students competed. Now, the top 8 teams have emerged victorious. They are amongst us now, battling their way. Our respected judges and our dear teachers, we welcome you to this debate. I wish you a very warm welcome. In this session of the Battle of Wits, the debaters of Ideal will speak out their minds. They will put forward their points with passion. We wish all the best to all the participants and may the best team win. Let's also please have a round of applause for those who unfortunately couldn't survive the snap. It was an extremely close call and a very difficult decision to make. You were all phenomenal and impressive. Let me now introduce our esteemed guest, Ms. Tanya Sarna. She's a senior content operation executive with 5 years of experience in enhancing quality of dubbing, recording, editing, and mixing documentaries, fiction promos, radio stories, web series, etc. She also has an experience in studio management, artist coordination, voice casting, script writing and translation, and generating new channels. She was an intern program executive at Doordarshan News. She works as a freelance YouTuber conducting interviews, creating scripts, shooting and editing videos, promoting content, and engaging with subscribers. She is also a freelance radio presenter, planning the general direction of the show. Ms. Tanya is a gold medalist in academics and media communication technologies. She's awarded the Best Director in 60 Seconds Indian Fiction Films among 30 colleges at Inter-School College Competition. And she was also recognized as Customer Champion. We also have amongst the panel of judges Ms. Priyanka Mohan Sharma. May we now request ma'am to present a planter as a token of our gratitude and love to Ms. Tanya Sarni. Thank you, ma'am. We also have a very special guest today. Student alumni of Ideal Public School, batch 2022 to 23. She held the position of Vice Head Girl and President Debate Club. She also holds the position of Coordinator and Student Ambassador of India in IIU ISDC, a highly selective student council. Yes, we're talking about our very own Hiteja Sahani. We now present to you the teaser for World Press Freedom Day debate. Once again, a very warm welcome to all our respected judges. This is the moment we all have been waiting for. Without much further ado, I would like to call upon stage Kanav Sharma as the moderator of the event. Best of luck to all participants. Over to you, Kanav.
There will be 8 teams in total, 1 speaker proposition and 1 opposition. Each speaker will get 2.5 minutes of time. At 3 minutes, the mic will be cut off. I will sound a warning at 2 minutes. There will be 1 interjection per speaker. Not more than 1 question can be asked. The speakers will not give rebuttals to each other. I would like to call the speakers on stage.
The topic for today's debate is freedom of expression in cyberspace should be unrestricted. I call upon stage our first team, Sahaj Jaggi and Prisha Goel.
The proposition to take the stage.
Good morning to one and all present here. I am Sahaj and I will be speaking for the motion. Freedom of expression in cyberspace should be unrestricted. I would like to begin by narrating a story to you all. There was a mother who shielded her child away from all the wrong things in life, or whatever she believed to be wrong. The boy lived away from all the darkness. His access to everything was restricted from the games that he played to the people that he was around. The boy had never known anything beyond this numbness. A stranger to anger, a stranger to hate, and a stranger even to his own opinions. This is how the opposition wants us to live. In a restricted world where we are exposed only to the right things, where we never get to see the other perspective, where we are never allowed to develop a moral compass. By allowing the state to put restrictions on freedom of speech, we give them tremendous power to restrict what we write, what we express, and what we speak, on not just reasonable grounds, but any other restriction motivated by political ideology. A person with views different from the government will be censored, going against the whole concept of the day we are here to celebrate. Now, moving on. It has also been observed that the state uses national security as a tool to deny citizens their basic rights. Our right to speak cannot be restricted in the name of defamation. Our right to criticize cannot be restricted in the name of hate speech. And our right to expression cannot be restricted in the name of national security. Moving on, it has also been observed that the countries with the most freedom of expression also occupy the topmost positions in the World Happiness Index. Therefore, by arguing that freedom of expression in the cyberspace should be restricted, one is putting our mental as well as our emotional health at risk, and is most importantly putting our happiness at risk. Lastly, our generation would never have become even a little politically aware had it not been because of the snarky tweets that led to elaborate Google searches which existed only because of liberty of expression. Thank you.
I request the opposition to take the stage.
A fake account of banana distributors tweeted that they overthrew the government of Brazil. Wow! Overthrowing a government from your banana farms must have been quite astounding. Well, is it really acceptable to propagate hate speech, fake information, cyberbullying, etc.? Today, I, Krishna Goyal of Caste ND, am going to put my counter offers for the motion. Fake information are like wildlife fires that flow rapidly and uncontrollably. Indeed, just like wildlife fires can disrupt the ecosystem and displace many animals, similarly, false information can lead to disruption of social harmony. For instance, in 2013, trigger warning, in the northern district of the state of Uttar Pradesh, 60 died and thousands were displaced. Why? Because of a fake video circulating of a Muslim mob brutally murdering a Hindu youth. Not just fake information. Cyberspace is like an epitome of anxiety and even depression. It is as though drowning in an endless sea of notifications and you are unable to reach the surface to get air. Cyberspace is like a traffic jam, frustrating and overwhelming. But you know that this is where you're going to come once again. Cyberbullying, hate speech, they all lead to a decline in one's morale and assertiveness. For instance, trolling on social media has caused various superstars to suffer from depression. For instance, Charlotte Dawson, a famous TV presenter, at the age of 47 committed suicide just because of extreme trolling. To combat this issue, shouldn't there be certain restrictions on certain forms of expression? I agree that the Constitution provides us with freedom of expression. However, I also believe that freedom of expression should come with a balance of reasonable restrictions and responsible usage. Because if there was a Lakshman Rekha between trash talks and cutting too fat, the progress of the cyberspace companies would be here. Because this is what they feed on, our trauma, anxiety, and depression. Thank you.
The speaker went 25 seconds time. I would like an interjection for the proposition.
In your speech, you mentioned that the happiest countries are the freest countries. However, Europe has one of the most highly regulated social media developments. In fact, Italy recently also banned ChatGPT and disallowed several tweets from being tweeted. Even ignoring that, and you assume you're aware of the concept of Adolf Hitler. You said free speech is necessary for development of a moral compass. But if people like Hitler are allowed to spread their messages, and that is 100 years ago, today in the age of social media, it's going to spread like rapid fire. Do you really think development of a moral compass should be exchanged to the downfall of the world?
I think that there needs to be some kind of bad things for one to realize that these exist. If we do not know that these things happen, then how can we believe that what is happening right now is right or wrong? We use history to realize that this is right or this is wrong. We use our moral compass, which has been developed through these years, through listening to these events and through listening to perspective.
I would like an interjection.
So I would like to ask you that, don't you think that the government will and is using the restrictions for manipulation of people?
Thank you for the question, and that is a very good point that you've raised. Indeed, restrictions can be used for manipulating their political beliefs and their political points. However, I also believe that through this, through this, there would be restrictions on other stuff as well, like hate speech, cyberbullying, and false information. And because of this, it would be a very good cause for the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sahaj and Trisha. Now I call upon stage Samriddhi Srivastava and Mishka Khurana. Can we have a huge round of applause for them?
The opposition is so keen. The opposition is so keen to prove their point, it makes me laugh. So now, if once this debate is over, you guys can go to North Korea and live there. Because that is a place where your ideology will fit perfectly. There will be limited freedom of expression, limited freedom of liberty, and limited freedom of movement, just the way you like it. But you will also find one thing common. There will be no growth, without which a country is as good as dead. Namaskar everyone, I am Samriddhi Srivastava from 10B and I would be speaking for the motion. I should accept the fact that I have skill issues for not understanding their ideology. I'm failing to understand audience that why are they acting like Narad Munis who have no fixed statement to ponder upon. That is why they are acting like the bridge. They want to have the freedom of expression as well, and they want to restrict it as well. Why? Are you saying that the cyberspace has no good content for people to watch? If someone wants to watch educational videos or geopolitical issues, for example, they can watch amazing YouTube channels like Rathi, the Deshbhakt, etc. If they want to watch comedy drama, they can have those channels. And if at one point, if they want to watch explicit motivation with the use of curse words, they can watch Andrew Tate and his videos as well. Because you know why? It is his choice. Now, you should understand the fact that anybody cannot have the right to put restriction on either the content created by a person or the content watched by the person. So why is this difference? Why are we telling that freedom of expression should be restricted? Already India is at a point where it is ranking at 150th out of 180 countries in the World Press Freedom Index in 2022. And now you're telling me that you are going against the spirit of democracy by limiting the art of criticism. Criticism is how we improve ourselves. We are criticizing each other and there are ideologies to improve ourselves. And we are putting restriction to that. On Twitter, it doesn't matter what the government thinks about my statements or my tweets. It doesn't matter what the experts have to say after analyzing my statements, whether it will hurt somebody's sentiments or not. What matters is my voice. The people who are facing injustice there, nobody to listen to because they don't have the resources to tell anybody what is going on. Who is going to be their voice if the government or anybody is going to restrict their voice and manipulate it? Nobody has the right to restrict their voice. Audience, nobody has the right to restrict your voice. Nobody has the right to restrict my voice. And my dear opposition, nobody will have the right to restrict your voice once you start and criticize my thoughts. Because India is a country where there is freedom of expression as well, but with no restriction. Thank you.
Twitter turned from a place to express, an outlet for news, to a talent competition of who can write the most outrageous tweets to get into the headlines. And now Twitter is a joke and people on it are jokers. From Donald Trump to our very own Congress and all, we have seen it all. Good morning, everybody. I'm Mishka Khurana. You might read their shocking claims and chuckle, but never wonder the consequences of their influence on young and influential minds. Long gone the days of having, long gone the days of having, long gone the days. Long gone the days of having
having healthy discussions with productive outcomes. Now it is all about the trending page. And we humans can go to any length to prove a point, even if it means to swear at an entire audience. We love to brag about our rights, and rightly so. But at the cost of neglecting our commitment to our own country. The line between the liberty of expression and hate speech is tremendously blurry. But our constitution makes it clear, one of which is maintenance of decency and morality. Decency. One does not need to go to the deepest tunnels of the cyberspace to realize how often the hands behind the screen violate it. Another is incensement to an offense. Our so-called Deshbhakts love to promote and urge people to kill when one does not agree with their pseudo beliefs. And ever wondered why there is such a huge difference between the real life and cyberspace? Twitter openly advocates communalism. Hindutva is the only cure. So where are these Deshbhakts when it comes to talk in real life? They don't exist except the persona they have created online. And if every time there was utter misinformation in the cyberspace and I did a bicep curl, well, I would be a bodybuilder by the end of it. Hate speech is a legal offense. 902 crimes were reported on love hijab, honor killings, and religion. Well. Our minorities, such as Dalits, women, and Muslims, have been targeted for decades. And once there is improvement in the real world, we come back to square one in the online world. Controversial, but if the cost is the lynching of our own, then I much rather never use technology. We all know about Padmavat, a strong film with a beautiful message, bringing part of history into light that had been in the dark for so long, only for the director to be slapped by the mob. And where did these ideas circulate? You guessed it right, the cyberspace. Our artists are in danger, our communities are in danger, our literature is in danger. And what are we doing sitting at home? Asking for freedom of speech. Thank you.
Speaker went 1 minute and 20 seconds over time. I would also request the audience to be supportive of the participants. They spent a lot of time preparing. Wait, interjections for the proposition.
Around the same time last year, which is May, June, India had major protests chanting "Gustakh Rasool ki ek hi saza sar tak" for Hindus. Right? That was because Nupur Sharma, a lady named Nupur Sharma, her clip was tweeted on Twitter saying she was committing blasphemy, and that was taken out of context. There were brutal murders throughout India of Hindus for basically just being born. Restriction could have helped in prohibiting those murders. Why do you think restriction should not be applied in such cases?
Thank you for asking that question, raising the point. Restriction, if it would have been done, you're right, the mass protests would have been avoided. However, these are just rare cases. Of course, when there is social media, the cyberspace, I said the cyberspace is not like there is nothing good on it, but I didn't state the fact that there is nothing bad on it as well. There are times when people get offended, but then there are religious reasons. First of all, blasphemy is a British origin law, which even in UK it is abolished, but not in India. But now that you're talking about the sentiments, I think it could have been resisted, but these are just the few cases. Otherwise, it can be neglected at that point. Thank you.
So at the end of your debate, you claim that our artists and literature are in danger. Don't you think artists are more often in danger with the lack of criticism than criticism itself, as it would lack their creativity and innovation?
I think we are underestimating our audience, but at the same time kind of overestimating. We need to realize we live in a country where there are a lot of people with not a lot of literacy. And I think that when we do give them the option to speak, there is more time. There's more times that there is gutter out of their mouth than actual facts. And I feel like our artists are in fact in danger. You think that criticizing them makes them feel less in danger? I think there are people around them who can tell them that. We don't need Twitter to tell us how our artists can improve. Well, the problem is not that there is no criticism. The problem is that it often is from a place of hatred. Thank you.
Thank you, Samriddhi and Mishka. I now call Manhar and Nishit.
I would like the proposition to take the stage.
So, first of all, good morning, everyone. I am Ishit, and this with me is some unknown guy. I don't know his name. Well, you know why? Because he's not allowed to speak what he wants to, and he's restricted to speak. He's restricted to practice his freedom of speech. Believe me, you don't want to be like him. We humans have this unique ability to speak, to express ourselves. It is such an exclusive and singular gift of nature. Do you think that is the reason our Indian constitution lists down this quality as freedom of speech and expression and not right to speech and expression? With the constant evolution of technology in the last 3 decades, this meaning of freedom has been expanded a lot. It has expanded from just newspapers and journalism, from newspapers and journalism to freedom of expression in the cyberspace as well. Imagine this freedom was taken away from you just like a gun, and you were being told by the authorities, sorry, you can't speak that. Oh, I am sorry, you cannot upload that because it's anti-national. Wait, doesn't that already happen in many dictatorial regimes like North Korea and democracies like China? Oh, so let's leave people aside. Do you know who is the biggest victim of this censorship imposed by the higher authorities on the media? Our precious journalists. In the last 20 years, it is estimated that around 1,700 journalists were killed by the higher authorities or by the people affiliated with them. Is this the freedom that we speak of as a birthright? Is this the freedom our forefathers spent day and night and fought so hard from the Britishers to fight off? Just writing the word freedom in our constitution doesn't guarantee freedom to the citizens. It has to be brought out to practice in real life. Otherwise, it just goes against the basic foundation stones of the democracy itself. Last but not the least, the choice is in your hands. Whether you want to be like this guy who cannot speak or whether you want to be vocal about your opinions. With this, I rest my case. Thank you.
To take the stage.
Oh, how naive it is to think that unrestricted freedom of expression in the cyberspace is a good thing. Let's just let anyone say whatever they want, regardless of the harm it may cause. Who needs social responsibility when we have freedom of speech, right? Greetings, fellow seekers of truth and justice. Today, we are here to engage in a rigorous and honest exchange of ideas, to challenge ourselves and each other, and to emerge victorious in our quest for knowledge and understanding. I, Manhar Singh Sethi, take this serendipitous opportunity to assert my position in opposition of the motion freedom of expression in the cyberspace should be unrestricted. It's certain that internet has altered the landscape of the way we communicate and exchange information, but it's not all rainbows and unicorns. It's double-edged sword, which if swung with no restrictions, could cause substantial consequences. The spreading of detrimental and malevolent misinformation is one such consequence. The unethical spreading of rancorous news could also very much cause political and social unrest. Such misinformation is also a major cause for riots. For example, in 2017, India saw a wave of mob attacks and lynchings of people spurred by online accusations of child abductions. At that time, these people were deemed to be outsiders or targeted by large mobs accusing them of kidnapping children after warnings circulated on WhatsApp. And why bother with Why bother with fact checking and holding people accountable for spreading misinformation when we could just let them run wild, right? Who cares if it leads to who cares if it leads to the division of society and people being. And we cannot forget about cyberbullying. Who doesn't love a good dose of online harassment? Let's just let people tear each other apart online without any consequences. After all, it's not like it could cause issues like mental health issues and even trigger warnings, suicide, right? According to the Cyberbullying Research Center, 60% of teenagers have experienced some sort of cyberbullying. The breeding ground to all these problems is the unrestricted freedom of expression online, where gutless individuals spread misinformation and use internet as a weapon. In conclusion, while freedom of expression is a fundamental human right, it's important to understand that there should be limits to this freedom, especially in the cyberspace. Now, paying respect to the time limit, I would like to rest my case. Thank you.
Interjection for the proposition.
The existence of a completely unrestricted cyberspace means that things like the dark web must also exist. Do you think that the cost of these places are justified?
See, about the existence of the dark web, who have made this existence of dark web possible? It's us, the people only. Till the time we don't realize that how bad or worse the dark web can go, we cannot rid ourselves of its addiction. It's more like an addiction only. Dark web, social media, they're all addictions. Us who have to realize that this is not okay and we have to refrain ourselves from this thing. Unless we don't become responsible about our own online activities, nothing is going to change. Thank you.
Interjection for the opposition.
So 60% of adults get their news from mobile phones and social media. Or causing a restriction on one of these can cause a huge riot and public divide. So how do you think the government can be accountable for this restriction?
I don't think people would start riots because someone stopped sending misinformation on social.
But it's not misinformation, it's all information going through.
No, what I talked about in my debate was that there should be a restriction on hateful speech, which could cause riots, misinformation, which could again cause riots, and cyberbullying, which could lead to various mental health issues. I never talked about hiding actual news and cases. So yeah, that's my answer. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we call up on stage Harshita and Anaya. Can we have a round of applause for them?
The proposition to take the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Anaya and I'm speaking in motion of the topic freedom of expression in cyberspace should be unrestricted. So, in today's world, cyberspace has become a platform for people to exercise this right, because cyberspace has become cyberspace has become an important way to express an individual's beliefs, ideas, and opinions. But the question is whether or whether not that freedom of expression in cyberspace should be unrestricted, because that is a complex issue and that it requires careful consideration. Freedom of expression ensures that individuals can express their opinions, beliefs, and ideas that can be shared with the world, that can be considered by other people. So for example, let's take an example.
protecting the right to protest. So protest is a form of free speech. That protest is a form of free speech that is very important in bringing attention to issues and helping the government to promote changes, in promoting changes. And without cyberspace, people cannot, people will not have the ability to express their opinions, beliefs, ideas. So, for example, again, it's the Me Too movement. It was actually a platform provided for the victims of abuse to raise their voices against abusers and discuss about it, discuss it to other people and support them to overcome the trauma they have been going with. They have been suffering with. So that's why I think that cyberspace can be a way to express people's beliefs and uh, and also to provide means supply to also provide help to the people who have been suffering from trauma or any difficulties they're facing. So the second is that freedom of expression in cyberspace can also allow individuals from diverse backgrounds to express their perspectives, experiences. For example, marginalized community. Marginalized community are the people, marginalized people's voice are ever hardly even heard. So what I think that cyberspace is can be one of the way that marginalized people's voice can be heard. So, for example, let's take that if you are sitting with your friends, you are sitting with your friends and you want to share something, and just the person and the person sitting next to you is telling you want to share, you are about to share something, and the person next to you tells that to keep quiet or signs you to be showing signs to you that you should keep quiet. Will you like it? Of course not. Nobody likes it. So that is why that is what marginalized people feel when their voices have been silenced, when their voices cannot be heard. And another reason is cyberspace freedom of expression in cyberspace can be also critical in political discourse because like it is also critical in
I request the proposition to step down 2 minutes over time. Opposition to take the stage.
Greetings to one and all. I am Harshita and today I am going to speak against the motion. My friend has been chanting the melodies of freedom of expression on cyberspace. But don't you think that freedom of expression includes the freedom to offend people? Well, I heard that social media and cyberspace support freedom of speech, huh? Trigger warning and controversial topic ahead. But what about the case of Kanhaiya Lal? He was murdered. His life was threatened just because of a comment expressing his views. Well, as far as promoting diversity is concerned, I believe that we all know that half of the population of India is busy fighting over the never-ending topic of Hindus versus Muslims on social media. So, how can social media is engaged in debates between the Hindus and Muslims and diverse backgrounds of the country? So, how can we believe that it is engaged in promoting diversity? Well, I would like to say that what you say about others doesn't define them; it defines you. And people are busy defaming each other on the name of political discussions, in the name of political discussion. So how can we rely on social media to be our sole representative of our voice? Well, I would like to
freedom of speech and expression is surely right for everyone. But using that against someone and defaming someone, we would not want to focus on their work. The focus is that others should be insulted. And I would like to conclude by saying that you should exercise your freedom of expression, but stay in limits. Learn to respect others. Thank you.
Interjection for the proposition.
So I would like to ask that as you spoke about the abused and the abused, do you remember the that women that was punched by the Zomato van, due to which the image of the Zomato guy was really, really like people were just. I'm going to wait a minute. Like there was such a misinformation caused by the abuser itself. It was not such that the Zomato guy actually punched the women. It was just to get herself and publicity. The abuse can use the misinformation to get a publicity to like you speak that abusers can speak up, right?
Actually, I said that the media it's actually about like many victims getting abused by the abusers. So they're actually voices, raising their voices against the abusers. And like, and they should also know about the mental impact they had on them. So, so I am not sure about how can I answer your question. So basically, it's
An interjection for the opposition.
I would like to mention how minorities usually use cyberspace as a way to advocate change. However, a lot of times, like during the BLM movement, a lot of government authorities called the BLM movement violent and miscreants because they dared to speak. So don't you think that cyberspace should be a way through which minority communities can put forward their points, can put forward their thoughts, and can come forward with the injustices they have faced? For example, you may be aware of what a shadow ban is. A lot of times, minority community people and people who raise their voice are shadow banned. For example, in TikTok, shadow banned people get very less interactions. So, what do you think about this topic?
well, I'm not aware about shadow ban, but I'm not against the freedom of expression on social media. Minority communities can surely come up and express their, but I'm against that expressing too much and hurting people. Hurting people's sentiments is not at all right. You must exercise your freedom of speech. Like freedom of speech was not invented with the intent of letting people become idiots on social media. They speak whatever they want. It is surely a great platform for minorities to come up and show their talent and show what their views in front of it.
Audience is once again requesting interjectors to keep their questions short.
Thank you, Harshita and Aya. Now I call upon Steve and Anna.
Proposition to take the stage.
As we begin this debate, I would like to acknowledge, I want to acknowledge that there are many points, there are many valid points for the issue at hand. However, after extensive and reasonable consideration, I have come across that proposition is the best course of action. At this pivotal point of time, we have come across that many people have started to, at this pivotal point of time,
The audience to please maintain the decorum.
online freedom of speech, online freedom of speech is online freedom of speech is critical for opposing all the cyberspace has many things in it. Like there are many things. Black Lives Matter movement is one example of where cyberspace has started, which began in 2015 to combat against racism and police brutality against black individuals. Social media played a crucial role in mobilizing support and prompting reforms after the death of Michael Brown in 2014. This shows that unrestricted freedom of speech is helpful to make positive changes in the society. Another example is the release of Panama Papers in 2016, where citizen journalists and bloggers have unrevealed a huge financial crisis where it involves high rank individuals and corporations where they have misused the handling of money and this shows that unrestricted freedom of speech can bring many positive changes in the society. Not only that, cyberspace is unrestricted freedom of speech in cyberspace also allows people to express themselves without the fear of censorship, as people are given an opportunity to be not judged by anyone, as we cannot know who's behind the screen, as we have the opportunity to be anonymous, and it helps us gain a confidence that we don't have in real life, that provides us the confidence or opportunity that we will not be judged by people. I want, in the conclusion, we can say that cyberspace provides people with an opportunity to be themselves without the fear of anyone, without the fear of any harm again.
Greetings everyone. Today I'll be speaking against motion. Let me take you to the 18th century when people used to communicate to each other with the help of letters. Like they used to write letters to each other. And oh my, it used to take a hefty amount of time for letters to reach from one place to another. Fast forward it to the 21st century, where people just with a swirl of their fingers are able to reach to anyone anywhere on this planet. That is what the power of cyberspace. But what if I say that the increasing amount of these cyberspace platforms has also increased the spread of haterism and misinformation that is all over the platform? Like for example, in COVID-19, a title got very viral that pineapple juice can prevent you from getting COVID-19 virus. Now, what's this kind of article? You have no proof. You have no medical research. Nobody has said that, but you still blindly believe that. Not just this, people can be anonymous on the social media platforms and they can say whatever they want without having any fear of any consequences. Like, for example, Johnny Depp went into a legal battle with his ex-wife Amber Heard, wherein which she abused of her domestically abused. So people took it to social media and they all were like, oh no, my Johnny would have never done that. And people who supported Amber Heard were like, no, she must have gone through so much. It is so terrible. He must be put behind the bars. But mind it, do you have any proof, any eyewitness against any of them? No, you don't. Then why are you being a jury on the social media? Not just this, I would like to mention that the mental health of people who are using this has also declined. Like, imagine the mental health of a 13-year-old child using this app who is unaware of the cruelty of the world, who gets exposed to all of these things. What is probability it will not affect his or her mental health? In the starting, I told you and I took you back to 18th century. I told you how it was not very remote at that time, but at least life was peaceful and they had no fear of getting internet trolled. With that, I would like to rest my speech. Thank you.
We regret the unfortunate interruptions. Interjection for the proposition.
Hello? You mentioned complete anonymity of people. Then does that mean freedom of expression in cyberspace mean that terror organizations like Taliban and Al-Qaeda are allowed to have anonymous social media accounts to conduct their activities?
Well, for starters, being anonymous doesn't mean that we can anything that comes to our mind when we talk about anonymous. It refers to being behind the screen but doing something that is supporting the view of everyone. And I'm afraid that I do not know what the Taliban.
Interjection for the
Yes. Hello, Speaker. You mentioned people wanting to drink pineapple juice to stop COVID. That was inaccurate, but it was still safe. Restriction is controlled by the government. During COVID-19, the US government, which was headed by the Republican Party, propagated taking horse tablets and drinking bleach to stop COVID. If Twitter or any other social media platform had been there, it would have caused mass genocide. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, just like I told you, pineapple, the case that you mentioned.
You mentioned people wanting to drink pineapple juice during COVID. That was inaccurate, but it was still safe. During COVID-19, the US government was headed by the Republican Party. Donald Trump and the entire Republican Party strongly advocated for horse tablets and drinking bleach to stop COVID-19. Had the social media platforms been regulated then, it would have caused mass genocide. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, so you just said that bleach thing. Well, it was publicly reported by the people who are responsible against it. Just a Facebook or a WhatsApp forward that was there. So it was not reliable. I was questioning upon that. The thing that you mentioned, bleach, it was viable, it was proved. The pineapple thing, it was just an example of numerous things that went viral. So that's what I meant. Thank you.
Thank you.
The proposition to take the stage.
I can share my views and I can express my opinion because I have the basic fundamental right of speech and expression, which means that every citizen has the right to express their views openly and freely. Namaskar everyone, myself Ananya Nautiyal from 9th A, and today I will be speaking for the motion and supporting it. Well, now correlating the statement I previously made with the topic, let's understand what cyberspace is. Cyberspace is nothing but a hub of all the networking.
Now, talking about another term that is internet, I bet you all are very familiar. Internet help us to explore, connect, communicate, as well as so many other things. But there are certain limitations. Friends who went to a restaurant and they faced some kind of the staff of the restaurant were actually mistreating them. They were very agitated and they decided to express their concerns on social media. But their post got deleted saying that they were going against the community guidelines. What type of community guidelines are these when they are not allowing people to express their views? There are two types of speech, a good one and a bad one. Who has the right to display who has the right to display the speech to the why are we always portrayed by the good speech? Can't we see a bad side of the negative side? When Robin Sharma once said that negative feedbacks can make bitter or better. Whereas Elon Musk once said that he's trying to seek for the negative feedback to improve him. Criticism and negative can make person better as they improve themselves. People and the society should understand that there are people with different opinions and they should cooperate with them. Not everyone can have a positive feedback. Thank you.
Much courage to come here, and they have done meticulous research, and then to come here and speak, it's not an easy task, it's not a cakewalk. So please respect your the students who are coming here. Please do not talk.
Right to freedom of expression. What is it? It's the right to express our views and our opinions on any platform. It comes under the basic fundamental rights granted to us by the Constitution. Basic knowledge, right? But don't you think it should have justifiable constraints and reasonable restrictions? Namaskar. I'm Kesha Sharma from 9C and I am here with my firm belief that there should be. In this era, where the internet and cyberspace is a greater role than fathomable, there is positive and there is negative as well. Let me give you an example. The dark web. The anonymous nature of the internet and cyberspace is possible for it to be used for positive and negative things, especially the illegal and criminal activities as well. Now, the right comes with the responsibility and the mindfulness of what we post. However, not many people have enough maturity and sensibility in them, mindful of what they post. Not many people have these cyberspace etiquettes and showcase them, which is why we need these limitations and cyber laws. In this online era, we come across so many deep impersonations and even cyberbullying at times. Is that true? I'm sure you all agree. Now, as for trust, can we really trust our own? I mean, cyberspace is an undefined and therefore risky place. We can never trust who's on there or who's talking to. Now, if you all must be thinking that, oh, my instincts are so great, they can never be wrong, blah, 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 but is that really true? I mean, remember, your good instincts for science quiz, freedom to speech and freedom to express our opinions and views should be there. They should exist. But sometimes others' opinions can get too aggressive and too insensitive. Let me give you an example. Andrew Tate's misogynist comments. He was expressing his views and his opinions on the gender system in the world. But to many others, it was plain crux. Many people out there can still hold their heads up regardless of the comments they may receive, online or in real life. But do you think that means everybody else can? Personally, I don't think so. Many people out there suffer from trigger warning, depression. And for innumerable people out there, the cause is cyberbullying and, at times, trigger warning, online harassment. Now, many people might say or think, I'm just saying what I think, or I'm just being honest, you're too emotional. But that is what sadly leads to many mental health problems. Which is why we need these limitations, we need these restrictions, and we have laws.
An interjection for the proposition.
The speaker mentioned Elon Musk seeks negative feedback. However, after he took control of Twitter, he has highly restricted all tweets and increased community guidelines. But this has also caused Twitter-related rapid misinformation spread to lower down a lot. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think Elon Musk, when he said this quote, he did meant that he's going to improve his task. Negative feedbacks are really good, but I think negative, according to him, he meant that negative feedbacks, through negative feedbacks, we can improve ourselves. And saying these restrictions on Twitter, I think that when a person harasses someone and when someone is going against the national security, then at that point they should be restricted. Not if they're okay. Thank you.
An interjection for the opposition. Anyone?
Hello. You mentioned anti-trade. Do you think restricting views of platform, no matter how controversial?
Well, I believe that. I believe that according to some opinions can be too controversial and too insensitive. Like what I said before. For example, his comment said that he believes that men are above women. That's basically what he said, isn't it? In his interviews, comments, tweets, etc. So what I'm saying is that some comments can be too insensitive and they can be really triggering for many people.
And Gurbani.
The opposition take the stage.
We all know about the story of the liberator of France, Napoleon. But do we all know what was the reason of his failure? Censorship. Greetings to one and all. I am Sabha Tanwar of class 10th A and today I am going to speak for the motion. Napoleon was a freedom of everyone should have the freedom of expression on social media gives birth to a new kind of world, a world where one
Freedom of thought is seldom used over freedom of expression. Maybe that is why people have such a sick mentality. Nowadays, dignity is a medal won by public offenders in the hippodrome of expressions. Greetings to all. I am Gurbani Kaur of opposition has been on our back, cribbing about how their rights are violated. But it's all just that nobody cares about their opinion. The freedom of expression is a right that can be violated very easily. And I have numerous instances where this has happened. Like the boys' locker room case, trigger warning, where Khadat received rape threats, and Kalandi Charan versus the state of Odisha case, where it was a huge and famous case of defamation. Now I ask you, what would you do if you were easily offended? Would you count this as a violation? I guess not. Let me give you another example. Another example of stand-up comedians. They have taken this liberty to another level. From Gaurav Gupta bashing the Banyas for not spending enough, to Munawar Faruqi not spending enough time in jail for Sita and Ram violation. Are just like barking dogs behind running cars. Isn't that funny? To conclude, I cannot. Sorry. Just a chittiness.
Relatable.
People also talk about how Andrew Tate can be a very big violent. Isn't that right? For someone, he's a misogynist. For the others, oh, he's the top G, isn't it? Now let me hear it from top G. You are telling me that my opinion matters, but let me ask the proposition. Does your freedom of speech and expression is a multifaceted fact, and it can be violated under numerous. Expressions. Let me tell you, the Indian Penal Code of Section 292 to 294 has following restrictions when there are stated instances where public decency was violated. If public decency continues to be violated through Instagram, social media, and cyberspace, you think that cyberspace is just social media and press. But no, let me tell you that proposition, your countering is just about a few bucks and a wannabe hitman on the dark web. That is also cyberspace. To the barking dogs and mindless offenders, I tell you that your opinion is something that is changing our minds, changing the mind of youth. To conclude, we should use this expression, freedom of expression, for the betterment of the society, to make our economy, our humanitarian values, and preserve the humanity that is left within us after this peace. Thank you.
Would the proposition like to continue? 1 minute of speech.
Of the first time, so just hoping better than that. 19, clause 2. Everyone has the right to express themselves freely. We can take many examples of successful movements like the Black Lives Matter, the Arab Spring, Me Too movement. These all are the examples of success which were empowered by social media. If we don't have the right to express ourselves, for example, if you go to a place, go visit a place and find the conditions and services extremely ill and poor, and then you decide to express it on social media, express your thoughts on it, would it be considered as hate or your opinion? So I would just like to ask the opposition, so why do you call it a hate? Because it's an opinion of someone. We don't even have the right to express ourselves. What can we according to Article 19, we have the right to express ourselves. It is not mentioned that it or like offline. So according to me, we should have the right to express ourselves. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
So, Chris is a member from this channel. So he's receiving a lot of backlash and hate from his ex-fans only. So don't you think this unregulated hater will restrict the people to come out, break the courage they have gathered, and scare them even more?
Up to the people, what they want to express to audience or to the public authorities, and the public authorities can't deny they don't have the right to stop one from expressing what they want to. So, like as you said that he called himself he called himself to be trans. So it's his personal choice, and it's up to the people what they want to speak about that, what thoughts they have on that.
You talk about the fact that millions don't matter. But what about the millions dying into religion? Let's talk about the Uyghur Muslims in China. The UN is not able to gather enough because of the fact that social media is so restricted in China. So how do you help those people, and is restriction really okay in these cases? I would like to state that that is a restriction by a country and a political body. Our constitution and the constitutions that are there, they talk about expression and speech as a right given to people. But if a government that is elected by the people itself is going to restrict that right, so it is not really the fault of people who are saying unrestricted use should be there. The restriction here that is imposed by the government is to protect itself. But the restriction that I am talking about or I am voting for is that people should not give out hate speeches and disregarding comments that completely defame the other.
Thank you, Sonia and Gurbani. Now I call upon the last pair, Aishani and Anshika.
I'm sure you all know about the Russia-Ukraine war. Such a big conflict. The Russia-Ukraine war characterized military help of freedom of expression in cyberspace. I would like to say that Ukrainians got the help. They got the war material. They got the food. They got the medical aids. So, if people are being held by the freedom of expression in cyberspace, why should it be restricted? Namaskar to the judges, teachers, audience, and my fellow debaters. I'm Anshika, and I will be going for the motion. Let's get to the facts. The Constitution has given the Article 19 that states that everyone has the freedom of expressions and opinions. Moving on, taking the example and stating a point that if nuclear bombs are being made with nuclear energy, should we do it like that? We stop using the nuclear energy? I don't think so. Same with the people. People are stating the problems and not looking for solutions for problems like privacy invasion and protecting people or saying the mama's boy from getting bullied or trolled online. And moving on and taking the example, what they're stating is that stop the people from expressing themselves. Is that right? With this, I would like to say that common sense is not common anymore, and I do agree with that statement. Taking the example of Black Lives Matter. Yes. The Black Lives Matter case, George Floyd, a black man, trigger warning, was killed by a white policeman. With this protest in 20, people expressed themselves, their opinions, their views on this issue. Moving on, taking the example of the Jessica case. In the Jessica card, Jessica was killed by a person who was the son of a politician. And this case was the headlines of the news for a very, very long time. After a while, the person who killed Jessica in court in February 2006. And the nationwide public outcry demanded that this should go to this High Court. The case went into the High Court. Jessica got the justice. With this, I would like to end my case. Thank you so much.
Is it truly the freedom of expression when cyberbullying and harassment silence the voices of those who are being targeted and discriminated against? The freedom of expression is a very powerful right, and as they say, with great power comes great responsibility. I would like to highlight the fact that the opposition does not want to take away the freedom of expression. Restrictions literally means limitations. And what the opposition wants to say is to provide reasonable restrictions in the cyber world for this freedom. I'd like to quote an Oregon saying that used to say that your freedom ends where my nose starts. And that was used to express the fact in the 19th century, the fact that all freedoms have certain limitations. Also, a judge had explained the fact that you are free to swing your arms, but you are not allowed to punch somebody else's nose. I would like to propose my first argument in contradiction of the opposition when they say that it promotes cultural diversity. But not all arguments are like this. It even leads to hate speech. Hate speech is when you target a particular community on the basis of their race, gender, ethnicity, or religion. And that further leads to mental trauma and psychological trauma as well. Then, that would further lead, trigger warning, even suicide and mob violence. My opposition had stated something about nuclear weapons and nuclear energy. I'd like to state the fact that it's because I have common sense that I'm saying that nuclear bombs are not just bad, but they're very bad. And similarly is the case with the cases of harassment and even the cases of cyberbullying, which needs to be stopped. I'd also like to say the fact that my second argument would propose the fact that it also leads to rumors and misinformation. An example that I would like to give would be the case of the Black Lives Matter that she had mentioned. But you forgot to notice the point that it had led to rumors and misinformation. People were saying that the protesters were made up. People even said that the protesters who had been killed was the doing of the protesters themselves. I'd like to end by asking a question. Do we really value our right to say whatever we want on the internet more than we value the safety of other people? Thank you.
Interjectors for the proposition.
In 2008, she casted out where the police were going and where the people were getting rescued from. That aided the people in Pakistan who were attacking. And that was because there existed freedom of press. There needs to be a responsibility. Why do you think restriction could have saved hundreds of lives over there? Why do you think restriction should not be imposed as of then?
Okay, I understand your question. Why only take the example of 20 when we have other examples of the Black Lives Matter, the Jessica case, where they were helped, where they got justice because of the freedom of press, the freedom of expressions of people in cyberspace. Why focusing on that particular example when there are way many more examples and consequences of freedom of expressions in cyberspace being helpful to people? Thank you so much.
So who decides those restrictions are reasonable? And why would that body not make that would favor them?
The governmental body is also the one who have to clean up the mess when the people against the positive impact says anything on the internet. And the government is the one who has to clean up those messes as well. They create that chaos
be certain bodies who can be trusted and would have a high degree of integrity and trust in that position to actually make those laws. Laws like cyberbullying need to be initiated because this is a very extreme case. Because trigger warning, even teenagers are killing themselves because of the cyberbullying cases that have arisen. I'd like to answer my question with this.
Thank you, Ashwani. That truly kept us at the edge of participants with their breathtaking arguments, powerful oratory skills must have astonished our panel of judges and our audience. Therefore, we would now like to give the floor to our judges to share with us their valuable feedback and enlighten us with their tips and tricks to empower the debaters with their valuable guidance.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Okay. Person has participated who has with their speech. But I think that why are we not talking apart from social media and things which have happened in history? Right? We have the laws. Okay, and cyberbullying is there. But इससे ऐसे हो जाता है and negative impact is into anxiety and stress and then committing suicide. Then somewhere they're saying that it is very good, somewhere they should not take it in that way. Who is going to make them understand that thing? Plus, we should not be on internet all the time. A 18-year-old is getting such information and something like that in his head. He's getting exposed to various things. But have we ever like thought of this thing that these things are actually coming from our own families, our schools? We are not aware of it. Nobody is giving us any nobody is making us understand that we have to be strong from here. Our mind should be strong. We should be aware what we are putting on the internet. The laws are there, but are they working? साइबर सेल में जाके हमने कंप्लेन कर दी, कुछ हुआ नहीं. तो इसमें सही और गलत तो होना ही नहीं चाहिए. हम उसके लिए क्या कर रहे हैं? We are afraid of this thing कि if we question the government, तो या तो हमें बहुत बुली कर दिया जाएगा कि हम मुसलमान पे बोल दिया, किसी पे बोल दिया. उसके there are a lot of things. There are a lot of things happening. There are a lot of things. Yesterday I got to know that there are many things which are happening in metro and people are making fun of it. They are recording it. And one of my friends said that अगर मैं होता ना तो मैं थाने ऐसे ही इनको टोकता, मैंने बोलता. We are not raising our voices. हम बस एक दो लोगों से बात करते हैं and we think this is good. When we see a reel on an Instagram or wherever it is, we are so happy to see it. We are making laugh. We are actually laughing कि यार ये तो पीछे कैसे metro में बोल रहा है. But nobody is raising their voice at that time. So cyber restriction किस बात का? And how are you going to decide that this is good or this is not good? Who are going to put those filters? When the laws are we actually know that we should get impacted of this or not? आलिया भट्ट को कितने लोगों ने कुछ ना कुछ कहा, तो क्या वो आलिया भट्ट नहीं होती? इतने सीरियस क्यों हो गए यार? मैं डांट नहीं रही हूँ, मैं बात कर रही हूँ. So, taking my example, in media line, in every corporate actually, people are going to believe, people are going to say
push it about you, and you will be seeking out to your HR departments, your admin departments, that these things are happening. These are actually hampering my mind, my reputation in each and every. And they are senior management. There are more hierarchies who are not going to support you. Then at that stage, what you are going to do. So we have these people within. सफाई अंदर से शुरू करनी पड़ेगी तब जाके बाहर. This is my feedback. And देखो वहां से कहीं मतलब थोड़ा सा मुझे लगा कि अगर ये बात हम करते तो शायद एक कंक्लूजन तो निकलता. तुमने ये कहा ऐसा हुआ, पाइनएप्पल जूस से ऐसा होता है, बीच से नहीं होता. बीच से तो हम सबको पता है, कुछ क्या पिएंगे तो वही देंगे, कुछ बोलेगा ठीक है बता दिया तो हो सकता है कुछ भी हो सकता है. ब्लैक बॉडी के लोग ने अपनी बात करी कि यार ब्लैक पीपल शुड नॉट लिव और इतना भी वो प्रॉब्लम हुआ तो स्किन वाइटनिंग को लेकर तो दिक्कत है कि आर कंपेयरिंग अस वी आर टेकिंग छोटी सी बात बताती हूँ. वी हैव डन दिस डॉक्यूमेंट्री फॉर नेशनल ज्योग्राफी ऑन ग्लूटाथियोन. इट इज अ केमिकल व्हिच इज यूज्ड फॉर स्किन वाइटनिंग. बट आर वी अवेयर ऑफ दिस थिंग कि ग्लूटाथियोन एग्जैक्टली करता है. Anyone? रिसर्च करिए तो बात कुछ तो कुछ सोचा होगा, कुछ पता होगा. Why are we not comfortable in our skin? Why are we actually going for these things? मतलब हर हीरोइन ले रही है, हर कोई ले रहा है. हमने जब उस रिसर्च में हम पूछते हैं ना तो हमें पता लगा कि ग्लूटाथियोन इज अ केमिकल व्हिच टू ट्रीट लिवर कैंसर. और जब वो कैंसर क्योर होता है ना तो आपकी वाइट हो जाती है क्योंकि अंदर बहुत मेलेनिन आपका खत्म हो जाता है. And people are supporting this thing. क्योंकि हमने जब रिसर्च करी तो मेडिकल पता करा कि लोग तो हजारों में ले रहे हैं और वो बाद में जाके कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस आते हैं. बट पंगा कहाँ आता है ना, मीडिया में दिखा दिया था, मीडिया ने बोल दिया था और इंटरनेट पे तो इतना चल ही रहा है. तो इंटरनेट बहुत अच्छी जगह है, उस पर आपको ना कोई नहीं समझाने आएगा कि आपको किस चीज, किस मैटर को, किस कंटेंट को, किस इन्फ्लुएंसर को फॉलो करना. यू हैव टू बी स्ट्रांग बाय योरसेल्फ. यू हैव टू बी स्ट्रांग इन योर माइंड. तुम्हें पता होना चाहिए क्या सही है क्या गलत. Okay, I'm pretty sure you've gotten tired of listening to telling you. I am not going to do that anymore, considering I'm leaving. You're happy about that, I'm pretty sure. But ma'am has already covered most of the things I wanted to say. But I'll just still say one thing that I would have loved it if the students went into more research. When it comes to cyberspace, they were mostly majorly restricted to social media. Cyberspace is a lot more than that, so I would love it if you guys could do a little deeper research for whenever you go debate next time or whatever you're doing in the future. So researching is a must. Other than that, where you talked, all of it perfect, amazing. I loved it. So weird sitting there instead of yeah. But I would also have loved it if anybody of you guys had talked about what restricting actually means. Considering, I'll just give you two examples. Social media, I'll take it because everybody understands it and everybody's talking about it. You see posts when you scroll through Instagram. You'll see sensitive content, see more. That's just a blurry image. But there's no actual restriction. It says content 18 plus. But even a 13-year-old just clicks on it, see more, and the video and the post are. That is not restriction. That is something that needs to be talked about. Moving aside from the dark web, just take up normal internet. There are adult sites that literally teenagers are surfing. 13-year-olds. There's nothing that is restricting them. That is what we mean by restriction when it comes to restricting cyberspace. You need to understand everything that is there. Don't just talk about restricting hateful speech and cyberbullying, all of that. We know that exists, that needs to be regulated. There are laws, but the laws aren't being implemented, not being implemented, that is a separate thing. But you need to understand that there is a lot of that need to explore it all. Just roaming around one topic is not going to bring about change that you're thinking. Sure, starting small is something that is supposed to be needed, but you also have to look at the bigger picture. That's about it. Good luck for the future. You guys are amazing. The results are being compiled.
I request the judges to kindly and announce the name of the So first we have the results for the proposition. Any guesses? Second position goes to Gurbani. Manhal. Ashley and Anshika. And the rest of the judges, Vanshika and Pratyaksha. Little bit of time, results in such a short spell of time. Okay, and thank you, judges. Fast, very fast. Okay, I think the classes you can disperse now. One by one, lines from the back should move.
A hearty congratulations. It was an absolute privilege for us to see all the debaters putting their heart and soul in and making it one of the most experiences that I could ever witness. As we are heading towards the conclusion, I call upon stage Sanina to close the thanks. Margaret Thatcher once said, freedom is hammered out on the anvil of discussion, debate, and dissent. Acknowledging this thought, the ideal fraternity believes in debating amongst the students and in always empowering them. Today's event, Point to Point, marked another important and successful milestone in helping our young minds to engage further into exploring the depths. I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to respected Principal Ma'am for always encouraging us to event. Our gratitude also goes to ideal management providing us with the finest of amenities. Our heartfelt and senior thanks to our esteemed judge for time, grace this event and being such an eager eye. A special thanks goes to Hiteja Sahani and Shivani for guiding the participants despite their busy schedule. I also thank the entire English department for meticulously organizing this wholesome session. I thank the members of the organizing for their exceptional perseverance in making this event thrive. I thank our moderator, our anchors, members of our tech team, and for their extreme dedication leading this event. Last but not the least, I thank all the amazing debaters and interjectors for showing such exuberance in this exquisite debate. No event can come to life. Last but not the least, our audience. No event can come to life. Your presence truly moves back. Let us hope we never deter from the art of debating, no matter the situation. I wish you all a good day. Selena and Mr. Samuel signing off.
And so you get ideal idea.